Elon Musk versus Sam Altman. Now, this is a really interesting topic that I've been studying over the past couple of days. Elon Musk apparently co-founded OpenAI because the guy co-founds everything. And OpenAI, for those that don't know, is now a multi-billion-dollar company. Microsoft has purchased $10 billion of it, or has done an investment for $10 billion, and they are the inventors of ChatGPT. They are basically, their mission is trying to create an artificial general intelligence, an AGI, that is ethical, sustainable, et cetera, et cetera. That's at least their mission. They started in 2015 as a nonprofit. Elon Musk gave them $100 million to fund it. They raised about $1 billion from different sets of investors, but they weren't really investors. They were more donators because the company was a nonprofit. The whole idea was to create an ethical version of artificial intelligence that is a hedge against Google being a company that is dominated by shareholder interest to get their hands on AI. If Google became the ultimate winner of AI, we know the people that Google looks out for, shareholders at the end of the day. Whereas a nonprofit doesn't have to look over for shareholders because of the corporate structure, which means they don't need to worry about amassing the amounts of capital that are necessary to end up appeasing shareholders. Apparently, Elon Musk recognized that OpenAI was starting to change from its original nonprofit orientation. Now it is a for-profit company, and wanted to take over the company in 2018. Let's take a look at this clip, and then let's take a look at Sam Altman's response, who recently did a podcast with Lex Friedman this weekend.
Between Tesla's Elon Musk and another company he founded, OpenAI. Following Musk's departure from OpenAI and the arrival of ChatGPT, rumors are swirling that Musk could now aim to launch another AI startup. Joining us now with the story, Reed Albergati, Semaphores Technology editor. And what Bill Gates said something, this is going to be bigger than the personal computer. Now I'm scared, Reed. AI. Are you real?
It is.
Is this are these your words, or are you a bot?
No, these are my words.
Okay.
So no, it is quite astonishing, honestly. And I think that, what we revealed in this story this morning is that, Elon Musk basically had this, OpenAI, he had the hottest startup, he helped create it. And then back in 2018, he completely lost faith in it and just basically bailed. He had promised $1 billion that he was going to donate to it. It was a nonprofit at the time, and then just left and didn't give any more money. And, after he left, OpenAI decided that they needed a lot of money. There had been this new discovery called the transformer model. And it was pretty clear it was just going to take a lot of money to train this thing, because it was sort of the bigger it is, the better it is kind of thing. And they decided to become a for-profit. And now Musk has been on Twitter sort of criticizing them for making this transition. And, it's kind of ironic because he kind of helped push them in that direction.
That is interesting. So how many players eventually well, we don't know, do we? But do you agree that this is we're on the cusp of something really significant? Is this going to be another I think sort of a singularity type? We don't even know what's coming because it's so eventful.
We don't know. I mean, I do agree. I think this is going to be a complete game changer. Some people are afraid that this artificial intelligence is going to rise up and take us over, so like in the Terminator or something. I don't think that we're headed in that direction quite yet. I think what we're looking at, though, is a lot of disruption, a lot of people being displaced by computers.
Okay, so as you can see, Elon Musk got tired of the company, didn't really like it, didn't like the direction it was going, ultimately pulled out of it, said he was going to put $1 billion, only put in $100 million, which then the company decides to change from a nonprofit to profit. And we have Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, explaining why that happened.
OpenAI stopped being nonprofit or split up in 20. Can you describe that whole process?
Yeah, so we started as a nonprofit. We learned early on that we were going to need far more capital than we were able to raise as a nonprofit. Our nonprofit is still fully in charge. There is a subsidiary capped profit so that our investors and employees can earn a certain fixed return.
Now, what he means by capped profit, which is such an interesting concept, is they have a nonprofit, then there's a subsidiary of that is enabled to create profit from whatever products they sell to the public. But that profit is capped. So it's almost like, imagine you could only make XYZ return on your money. The whole point of investing, right, is that the potential for the company to explode means like you could make 1 trillion times on your money if the company really does that well, right? In speaking hyperbolically. So, but there's a cap now to this subsidiary profitable version of OpenAI for certain investors to get a return, which is a very interesting model.
And then beyond that, everything else flows to the nonprofit. And the nonprofit is like in voting control, lets us make a bunch of non-standard decisions, can cancel equity, can do a whole bunch of other things, can let us merge with another org, protects us from making decisions that are not in any like shareholders' interest. So I think it's a structure that has been important to a lot of the decisions we've made.
What went into that decision process for taking a leap from nonprofit to capped for-profit? What are the pros and cons you were deciding at the time? I mean, this was 2019.
It was really like, to do what we needed to go do, we had tried and failed enough to raise the money as a nonprofit. We didn't see a path forward there. So we needed some of the benefits of capitalism, but not too much. I remember at the time someone said, as a nonprofit, not enough will happen. As a for-profit, too much will happen. So we need this sort of strange intermediate.
Well, you kind of had this offhand comment of you worry about the uncapped companies that play with AGI. Can you elaborate on the worry here? Because AGI, out of all the technologies we have in our hands, has the potential to make, the cap is 100x for OpenAI.
It started is that it's much, much lower for like new investors now.
AGI can make a lot more than 100x.
For sure.
And so how do you compete?
And again, this is the interesting idea, right? Now that they have a for-profit subsidiary, 100x used to be the cap. Now Sam is saying that it's lower than 100x. Let's call it 50x, which means if you put in $1, you have the potential to get $50. That's a great return. It's very difficult to get that type of return. And so the idea that they turned into this nonprofit with a profit-sharing sort of, subsidiary is interesting to sort of see how it's playing out. Now, the really unique part about this to me, and hearing kind of Sam Altman talk about this versus Elon Musk, is they both don't really like each other when it comes to this. They both respect each other. They both care about the nature of AGI and where it's going and how AI is incredibly important, and they lose sleep at night over how powerful AI can be. But this distinction between the profitable version of a company and the non-profitable version of a company is, I think, where the dispute comes in. The reason Sam Altman said they had to go raise money is primarily from like investors that had a capped for-profit fixed return, is because they had issues raising money as a nonprofit. And so, as a nonprofit, at the end of the day, America and the world is greedy, and we want a return. And it's very difficult to get someone to give you billions of dollars to go fund this thing that they don't see any return on, especially if that thing does not have the humanitarian efforts that are philanthropic intrinsically, right? Like if I could give $1 billion to the American Cancer Association and have them, do a ton of research and save lives, it's harder for me to justify that $1 billion into an AGI potential thing that will one day be incredibly important for cancer research, because using AI and machine learning to actually being able to enable data-driven health research is probably way more effective than giving $1 billion just to an association that's been doing research in the same way. But to not see the vision for that and to not see the concrete reality of that, it's probably a lot harder to give money to that. That's where investing comes in, because the whole point of angel investing or venture investing or seed investing is you're putting money into something where you don't really see the real potential. You think there's a chance. Peter Thiel, when he put 500,000 into Facebook, I don't think he knew it was going to have 3 billion people using it one day. But he was like, it might have a chance to actually succeed. But the incentive, the sort of human nature that is oriented around being able to give up that much money, whether it's 500,000 or 500 million, is that there's a return on the other end of the tunnel. Right? There's a light at the end of the tunnel, and that is a return for your capital. It is what intrinsically rewards the risk that you are taking. If that doesn't exist for something as powerful as AGI, I think Sam does have a point that it leads to the disincentivization of very rich people. And Sam Altman's network, for those that don't know, he is a very wealthy person because he invested in a lot of startups at a young age. You can access that network very easily, but to convince them to actually invest or to donate is a harder thing to do. Now, Elon's point, which I also understand as well, is like, this is too powerful to ever let it become profitable, which is why he gave you 100 million in the first place, because it was always a hedge against Google. I don't know who's necessarily right, because from a logical perspective, yes, you do need money to do stuff, right? Sam is correct. If you don't have the money to do stuff, it's going to be hard to get stuff done. And especially when it comes to ChatGPT, they're, paying XYZ amount of thousands of dollars per second to be able to compact to be able to transmit all the compute power to enable something like ChatGPT to work. You need money to do that. You need Microsoft's servers. And if people aren't willing to pay that stuff, it cannot scale. And so the logical side of my brain is like, Sam Altman is right. The more ethical side of my brain is like, well, if AGI becomes that profitable and there's or becomes that powerful and there's a profit association attached with it, it's ultimately not going to be one of the things we ever would want to be profitable. So I think Elon has a point. I think Sam has a point. Gun to my head, I would probably side with Sam, because you need money to get stuff done. And if you don't have the money, the stuff can't get done. But let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think Elon is correct and Sam Altman is, kind of BSing us about how we needed money to get this stuff done? Or do you think Sam is correct and Elon is just salty that he left OpenAI in 2018 and he doesn't really get to have the clout for being the inventor of ChatGPT? Could you imagine if Elon was the inventor of Neuralink, Tesla, SpaceX, the Boring Company, and now ChatGPT? Like, that's the most insane entrepreneur resume of all time. So let me know what you think in the comments.